It's been a tradition here in the College of Education for our spring commencement to invite the Maryland Teacher of the Year to visit with us. And I think it's quite an honor, and I'm thrilled to have with us tonight Mary Kay Connerton. So imagine this: every year, each of the counties, with all the amazing teachers that are in the counties, put forth and recognize one particular teacher that represents that county. And then, with all the busy work that they're doing, supporting children and families in schools, they put together this amazing amount of application materials. And there are a group of people across the state who come and review those materials, and then we invite a subset of those folks to come and interview face-to-face. It's really quite a rigorous process that they go through. And one of the reasons why I think it's important to hear from the Maryland Teachers of the Year every year is that as you sit, as you are thrilled, as you should be, to think about your next steps, I want you to always imagine yourself as the next Maryland Teacher of the Year. Why? Is it for the title? No. Because every year when I listen to the Maryland Teachers of the Year, it is what they are doing for the children and the families. That's what I want you to think about as you listen to Mary Kay tonight, and perhaps families, you've been here when we've had other Teachers of the Year. The title is amazing, and I would be thrilled to have been named Teacher of the Year. But it's really about the incredible, and I'm telling you folks, listening to some of these, the semifinalists come in and talk about the work, holy smokes, we've got some good teachers in Maryland. And I am just thrilled that we have Mary Kay here and that you can listen to her journey and her wise words. So I am pleased to welcome Mary Kay Connerton, the 23-24 Maryland Teacher of the Year, to Towson University as tonight's guest speaker. Mary Kay is a fierce advocate for student wellness and teacher wellness, wellness in general, and serves as a wellness coordinator at Annapolis High School in Annapolis, Maryland. Who are my high school teachers out there? Where are my high school teachers? There you go. Let's see those. Former high school teacher myself. Mary Kay earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in childhood education from the State University of New York at Cortland in 2008. And she earned a Master's of Science degree in special education in 2010 and an administrator's certificate in 2018 from McDaniel College. She began her teaching journey in Maryland as a special educator and has taught at elementary, middle, high school, and the collegiate level. She created her district's first yoga class in response to student needs at Annapolis High School. This yoga course and 2 subsequent courses are now offered at every high school in the district, with Connerton leading an intricate teaching training program for teachers. The course at Annapolis High has morphed into a holistic and robust wellness program that Mary Kay created to assist the whole community with living healthfully. This has led to a Wellness School of Distinction award for 3 terms in a row. Mary Kay Connerton's programming also reaches employees and community, with Connerton facilitating monthly and annual services and events. She pioneered the district's first social-emotional learning wellness curriculum for 25,000 students, with Johns Hopkins and is co-authoring with them. She is a believer in addressing the whole child, the whole person, and that the foundation of success begins with being healthy in body and mind. Please give a Towson welcome to Mary Kay Connerton.
Good evening. Thank you so much for that introduction and for the invitation to be here. So good evening again, faculty, families, friends, and dignified guests, and of course, the graduating class of 2024. Woo! It is my esteemed honor to be here tonight with each of you as we celebrate the hard work, passion, and drive that has brought you to this monumentous point. To me, tonight is this not just a celebration of our beloved graduates, but for the teaching profession as a whole. Each graduate here is a beacon of light, one that will be transferring its spark to the next generation, not knowing exactly where or how that is going to be shown. To me, that is the most beautiful part of our craft. We don't know where the embers will go. There are so many opportunities to shine, not just with content, not just with classroom management, not just with data numbers, but in being a light for someone else in sometimes those back-to-basic ways. These will have immeasurable outcomes, and oftentimes in teaching, as I just said, we don't know where our light is going to go, and it's many miles down the journey where we realize that, whether it's from a former student letting us know or seeing a former student out in the community doing incredible work. I recently heard someone referring to the teaching craft as a dying profession, and while the numbers may suggest that, I refuse to give up that hope. I have faith in the people, those 447 graduates sitting here right now. I'm going to give them another round of applause. I have the faith in their light that they have been called to the profession of all professions, as we just heard, to the one that sets the foundation for our generations to come, and to the one who can shift society for the better. I thank you, and I am honored to be in your presence as now the torch is within your reach. So now I have a weird question. Raise your hand if you are a gardener. I promise this will make sense, not a trick question. Okay, raise a hand if you're a gardener. No, thank you. Thank you. Now raise your hand if you are not a gardener, but you have a basic understanding of the cycle of gardening. Okay? All right, there we go. If you didn't raise your hand, I still think you're going to get the metaphors that I have to play. So, to me, each year in teaching represents the cycle of cultivating a garden. And ironically, I just was doing this weekend with my 3 children who are 6, 4, and 18 months. So you start with preparing your garden, right? You lay out the soil, you set it up just so, as you would your classroom. You put the care and love into arranging it as you anticipate the beautiful outcomes that you're hoping. The plants represent our students, of course, in the ways that we nourish and nurture them to bloom where they are planted. Our tools and gardening accompaniments, such as fertilizer, plant food, is symbolic of our educational leaders and colleagues who assist us as we reap what we sow. And then the end of the year, like now, is the harvest time, of course, where we can celebrate the beautiful bounty that we have grown in the minds of our heart and hearts of our children. I was asked to share with you tonight what is important for young teachers to know. And so I am hoping that I can plant 3 seeds for you as you begin to embark on the next phase of your teaching journey. This brand of seeds I have for you is what I've titled as celebration seeds, okay? I want to keep coming back to that because this truly is a moment to be celebrated. We need to celebrate the fact that you are a teacher. And I am not a betting woman, but I would bet on the fact that you will probably hear at one point or another, I cannot believe you're a teacher. Or, I don't know how you do it. Or, oh, you're just a teacher. And I encourage you to respond in a way that is celebratory of our craft because it is truly something that needs to be celebrated more. We are literally molding minds and hearts, people. And we are doing this every day to shape the individuals in a way that enables them to bring their dreams and their visions into reality. I had the honor of being at the White House earlier this month, and President Biden spoke to the fact that we are the kite strings to America's dreams. Isn't that beautiful? And isn't it true? I mean, this sounds like superpowers to me. And another bet I would make is that there will be a day when you think back and you say to yourself, how on earth did I do that? Maybe it was with 25 screaming kindergartners or 35 high schoolers or some of our middle schoolers who need us more than we often think. And the fact is that it's because you have superpowers. So let's now sow our first celebration seed. The first celebration seed is that the teaching opportunities that lay before you are meant for you. I encourage you to be open to what comes to you in the world of teaching. I was in your seat 16 years ago receiving my bachelor's from the State University of New York at Cortland in childhood ed for grades 1 through 6. I started as a third grade leave replacement in a little rural town called Homer, New York. And guess where I am now? High school. I have taught third grade, 6th through 12th, and the community college level as mentioned. I always envisioned, though, that I was going to be a second grade teacher like Miss Honey from Matilda. Now, I'm going to bring us back to Matilda right now, because Matilda was a very pivotal moment in my life in the little Mary Kay world that I was in as I read this book and read about this nurturing teacher, Miss Honey, who showed Matilda unconditional love. It was a superpower. And as I mentioned before, that's when I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a superpower like Miss Honey. And I stand before you tonight to say that that is still the goal I have in the forefront of my mind and work every day. It's my why. My mentor growing up would say to me, if you just know your why, Mary Kay, the who and the what will all fall into place. And I can tell you right now that you were brought here for a why. So I want you to pause for a moment and think of your why. And if you can't name it right now because of the hustle and bustle of this time and year, that's okay. But think of it, focus on it, go back to it. Maybe you write it down later. Maybe you revisit it each year, month to month, day to day. Maybe you wrap it into a vision board or write it out so it's somewhere where you can see in your classroom, because we need to have that reminder always. My why allowed me to open up to the ebb and flow of my journey. I let go of being in a second grade elementary classroom, and I opened myself up to the flow of where the universe wanted to bring me. And I still feel like I'm kind of like Miss Honey, but just at high school. And it has brought the most incredible experiences that I could have ever imagined by being open. So please, open your mind, open your heart, and remember that the first seed is the opportunities that lay before you are the ones that are meant for you. The next celebration seed is to lean into the profession, and I mean beyond the walls of your classroom. Don't let others define the profession. You define the profession. You are in the trenches. So if you see a need within your own classroom or in your own school, use your voice to advocate for that in other classrooms. Get involved in your local teachers union. Be in the know about how the political, social, and economic standpoints are impacting education, and be a steward for what is right and needed in education. I have been learning more and more that I do have the ability to impact from outside of my own classroom walls. And for years, I've been talking about the issues most important to me that stem from my students, my why. This has enabled me to be an advocate, not just for that, but also for what is right and good in the world of teaching. So please, use me as an example to know that you too can lead out-of-the-box program development. You can do curriculum writing. You can have a new pathway of learning and share that with the teaching community. So lean into the profession and celebrate the advocacy work. And now for our final seed. This is going to be a call and response. So when I say the next line, I want you to say really loudly, me, even if you're not a teacher in here, okay? So the most important person in the classroom is... Okay, you can do a little bit better than that. Come on, people. The most important person in the classroom is? Yes. Now, you might be thinking, why is the 2024 Maryland State Teacher of the Year saying that it's not the students? So remember, the students are our why. But this is what I really need to drive home, that you are the most important person in the room, because if you are not taking care of yourself, the kids are going to feel it. The kids need you to be at your very best so that we can then transfer that to them. It probably would surprise you to learn that 2 months into teaching, I nearly quit. I know, I really second-guessed sharing that, but I really want to be my authentic self tonight. And so I almost quit. I went home to New York and told my mom, who was in education, and my aunt, who taught for 40 years, I'm not going back to Maryland. I can't do it. And they said, well, guess what? You're going back. And I had to pull it together. But when I reflect back on that moment, I felt like a failure. And I felt like a failure because my class at the time, our average for 8th grade co-taught classroom in language arts was a 24%. And my belief at that point was that I wasn't good enough for my students. I have a little bit of a type A personality, and I was putting a lot of pressure on the fact that I had such an impact on these kids' brain, that I was gonna mess it all up, that I just needed to make sure that I could get them on track. And so I decided that I needed to have a look into my own work ethics. Because let me tell you, you're going to be tempted to work crazy hours, and some days you're gonna need to, but at this point in the year, I was so consumed in my first year and the fear of failing that I stopped taking care of myself. I knew something had to change, and so I leaned onto my own wellness. And the product of that was a person who believed in themselves, me. And because of this shift, I knew it had to be a priority for my students. So, in a desperate case, maybe it was more for me that day, I said, let's stop, and I turned off the lights, and I said, we're gonna meditate for a moment. And we continued to keep that practice for 5 to 7 minutes every day, and by third marking period, the same class, our average was an 85%. Thank you. But seeing the improvement in not only their wellness of academics, but really their social interactions made me realize the power that wellness practices have in opening the door to endless possibilities in education. It did it for me, it's done it for my students, my staff, and now my district. Wellness is a shared language, and what ended up really happening, guys, is I opened up a little bit to my students about something to do with me. And then like that, a connection was built. It enabled us to function from the relationship rather than the standard. And in DC, earlier this month, a speaker said that teaching is 10% content and 90% the relationship. I want you to please, please, please remember this. And just 2 days ago, I had the honor of Secretary of Education Cardona coming to Annapolis High School to see the wellness program. And he said something that stuck with me. We have to get our kids to latch on to something greater than themselves, whether that is a sport, a drama club, a wellness club, a book, whatever it may be, and at whatever level it may be. I just this morning had a parent-teacher conference for my own son who's wrapping up his kindergarten year, and he is hooked on animals. So much so, he wrote a letter about saving rats to save the world to the First Lady and President Biden that I did give to them. But it was all because he said, Mom, they're just so misunderstood. I need to learn about them to save them. So in my letter to the Bidens, I said, I think he has a teacher's heart. And I think it's true that even at a 5-year-old's point, if you have something that hooks them, that they feel like, wow, this is great, and it just takes a little bit of you opening up to them. So I went off on my tangent there. Let me get back to where I was. So here I am, again, telling you to please take into account the most important person in the classroom is you. And that if you can address the whole self, you will see how your community is going to thrive. So if you find yourself making it through, let's say it's around 1 o'clock, and you haven't eaten or gone to the bathroom, that's a problem. You need to check yourself. If you're the only person leaving the building at night several days in a row, check yourself. If you are letting go of activities or hobbies or connections that spark joy for you, check yourself. The thing with teaching is it's really easy to let it consume you because it is a calling. Okay? I'm gonna say it again. It's really easy for it to consume you because it is a calling. And that's what makes it special. But to continue taking that call, we need to call on ourselves to be the best that we can be. So who's the most important person in the room? Thank you. And let's celebrate that. So, thank you. So here are my celebration seeds for this celebratory occasion and profession. Whether or not they make sense now or later, I just hope they can bring some nourishment into your next chapter. One that will have lots of ups and downs, but one that will be remembered for the rest of your life. The first year of teaching is not for the faint of heart, but I'm going to recall your own anthem and say, fight on, Towson Tigers. Or should I really say, teach on, Towson Tigers. So congratulations again. This is just the beginning to an incredible journey. Congratulations, class of 2024. Thank you so much, and be well.